Okay, so my presentation has two parts. First, a reflection about what are the competencies a teacher of the future education in the digital era should have. And secondly, basing on these competencies, what is the support that the university has to give in terms of services, infrastructures, people, documentation, training, software, etc. So my first question to you is, okay, so much is talked about the learner competencies, the competence of the 21st century, about the communication, critical skills, creativity, collaboration. But how about the teacher competences, from the teacher in the industry era to the teacher of the information era? It is probably different work, more work for faculty, and therefore we will need to know what it is and to support it appropriately with support units, with training, with software tools, with documentation, etc. One has to find out the right level of support and letting the teacher do whatever he needs to do. So support versus do it yourself, because it's probably a continuum. If you want to do a video, maybe he goes to a support unit to record it in a studio, but also he could do it himself or herself. So sometimes the same task can be done independently, or with a little bit of support, or with a lot of support. But we need to know what is these competences. So the first thing, the first task for you is to think about these new competences for the teacher. And I'll give you a few minutes, and then I'll ask you to shout out maybe new things the teacher has to do. If already somebody has identified one of these new tasks, you can just shout it out.
Creativity.
Pardon me? Creativity. Creativity? Or? Creativity.
Creativity, yeah. Adaptability, resourceful, information literacy.
Information literacy.
Communication skills.
Communication skills. But this, it is to have before also. So what are the new, what are the distinctively new tasks or competences? Pardon me? Moderating skills, yeah. Maybe to moderate 100,000 students at the same time. Yes? Digital literacy, to know how to use software tools and other tools which are needed maybe for software production or video production, etc. Yes? Instructional design, very good.
Never give up attitude.
Pardon me, again?
Never give up attitude.
Narrative.
Attitude. Attitude.
Never give up, okay. Good. So here are a few I have come up, and some partially clear. If you want to record a video, you have to become an actor, an actress. You know how to perform in front of a camera. We normally do it in the theater, in a small place. So we have to become better, maybe at acting. It has to be, she has to be an engaging storyteller and communicator. Has to be an instructional designer, we had this over there. Have some knowledge of video production, maybe. Know how to prepare formative assessments. Be an expert community manager, we heard this also. Maybe also some knowledge of IP, expertise. And be able, I was not present, but I'm sure Maren has talked about a lot of learning analytics, so maybe they have to analyze also, or be helped to analyze the data that come up. And all this without losing the domain expertise and the pedagogical qualifications. So let's go through more or less fast, because we want to go to the support part. These are the 8 skills or competencies, no? To be an actor, storyteller, instructional designer, be able to record videos themselves or with others, assessment, community manager, IP, and data analytics. So this is the teacher of the future, right? We had this before, from the theater where it's here now, and then it's over. If you did some mistake, it has been forgotten, to the movie star. We can be seen from everywhere, anytime, it's there, recorded. So it's a big change from the here now to the everywhere always, from the theater to the movie star. I have also some citation here from New York Times. Dr. Stavens, sees a day when MOOCs will disrupt how faculty are attracted, trained and paid, with the most popular compensated like a TV actor or movie actor. He adds that students will want to learn from whoever is the best teacher. You don't want to hear a boring teacher. So whoever is able to transmit this information best is a better MOOC teacher, right? So, and we heard already some of these skills, no? It has to be close, you have to intonate well, you have to train the voice, you have to original, right speech, you have to find out, this is Walter Lewin again, remember, these memorable moments. So this is one thing. Then, a good communicator, like here these TV anchors, the news readers, or storyteller. And the teacher has to know how to use the tools. And what are the tools for communication? Before it was the chalk and the blackboards or the whiteboards, right? We are now in a stage where it's the PowerPoint, yeah? Which are different skills. In the future, it'll be to be able to use video recording or editing or processing tools, maybe themselves or with the help of others. No? So let's review this one moment. What are the competences for using the blackboard and chalk? Maybe good calligraphy, so that it's understood well how to organize the blackboard, which is quite different from using the PowerPoint correctly, which is quite different to use correctly visual storytelling. For instance, blackboard. This is a bad example. This is a better example, so very nicely written. You have to good calligraphy, and maybe they organize the space. This is what you needed before. Now, with a PowerPoint, this is a bad PowerPoint. Lots of text, very small letter. Now, you have different best practices, like the ones provided by Seth Godin, who is over the right, with images, with one idea on the slide, or some others, like this guy. I will not go into details here, but Identity 2.0. So it's different skills. And now for the future, we have seen yesterday also, you can shoot a bad video with bad lighting or bad audio, or you could do it well, transmit your messages well, and you have to be able to use these editing tools. Oops. Where is my mouse? Okay. Good. Third, instructional designer. Of course, you need to be able to do it now as well, be able to use different pedagogies, active learning, connectivism maybe, or whatever different pedagogies and instructional design theories you might want to use. So some knowledge and competences is needed here, now more than ever. Next, video producer. Video has to be produced alone or with help of others, maybe with a teleprompter, maybe you do it yourself. And there are many cheap teleprompters that you buy and use yourself in your office, or more professional ones. And we heard also, no, not this, sorry. Because what is the difference now? So in class you're teaching one person to many, maybe 20, 30, 100. And what it is the relationship in a MOOC? Is it one to many, many more, to 100,000? Is this, do you think, the relationship? Or is it this other one? One-to-one is one to many, but one at a time. Because each of the student, each of the learner is seeing through the video the teacher in an intimate relationship. The under 100,000, you don't see them, or maybe in the forum, but when you can have also a quite direct relationship. So as Eric says, it is one to many, but one at a time. Here it is again. So, I think this is a bit confused here. Yeah. Okay, so this is the relationship you have in a MOOC, one to many, one at a time. And for recording, you might choose, this is a bit, the slides are mixed up, either teleprompters or, as we also heard yesterday, like the Interotron. The Interotron is not used very much, but it has the advantage that the Interotron is basically, you know what it is. No? So this is the teacher looking at the video prompter, but instead of seeing text, he sees the face of another person. He sees the face of another person. And this other person is smiling and saying, yes, yes, so giving confidence to the teacher. No? So, because if you're alone in front of a cold camera, how can you smile to it? But if you see another person saying, okay, yes, yeah, understand very well, yeah, okay, then you are more confident, no? And you feel better, no? And this is the relationship you want to have. Maybe after some time you can do it even without this other smiling face, but you are talking to one student, not to 100,000, to one student at a time and transmitting something. And this transmission empathy has to be felt. And I have here some resources you can look at, recommendations for doing this well. Let's move further. Has to be able, assessment was expensive before, but now it's cheap. So this is a different relationship. So therefore, this means that you can do many more assessments than before. So you have to be an expert in doing formative and summative assessment. No? Like this, I like this image. No? A fast selection, everybody has to take the same exam, climb the tree. No? So even the fish or the elephant. So you have to be careful on how you do an assessment. So as I said, it used to be expensive. Now you can use it as a basis for teaching. You teach by using formative assessment. And we have heard today from Carlos the different kinds of automated assessment and the importance of instant feedback that helps you learn. And there are automatic assessment and peer-to-peer evaluation, and also machine learning evaluations, which are more and more capable of doing something useful. There are several theories there. I mean, Khan Academy uses this extensively, this instant feedback as a way of learning with assessing. And I recommend very much, if you have the opportunity, to look at the works of Brett Victor, who plays with this idea of instant feedback in order to learn. And he has some interesting theories over there. Well, I think I will not go into the detail. This goes too much. Parametric exercises and hints in exercises and peer-to-peer evaluation, which we heard already. Good. And then, of course, also the possibility of using machine learning for evaluating students. Next is, if you have a MOOC, you have a forum, you have many people there in the forum, so you have to be able to manage this well. Because now the conversation is online, everything is done online. So the teacher has to know how to answer, when to react, how to deal with trolls, because there exist trolls in MOOCs as well, trying to find your weak spot and to provoke flaming. So you have to be careful with that, and you have to know how to do this well. Then you have to select the social tools. Carlos has presented some. It's good to have several, but not too many, because otherwise you will be overwhelmed and will not do it well. And try to harness the collective intelligence that you get out of the crowd. Next, if you prepare your content in the class, you took an image from here, an image from there, and nobody saw you, so it was no problem, but now everybody is seeing you. And there's a lot of content out there, abundant content, so what can you take, what you cannot take, how can you take it? So you have to be knowledgeable there, and you have to know of copyright rules, of copyleft rules, and yeah, I think these are two relevant people, Lawrence Lessig, we saw before also, and Dave Wiley, who says education is sharing, so very relevant here, and open educational resources, etc. So questions that the teacher would need to know: what content can you take, under which condition, for which purpose, which law applies, which is especially difficult with MOOCs because in different countries you have different law that's applicable, what are ethical and privacy issues, how to publish, if you publish something, grant copyright to the public, how can you use it, what is the national law, etc. And the 8th point, a big data scientist, no? As Nelly Cruz, who was not anymore the Vice President of the European Commission for the digital agenda, she said quite simply, knowledge is the engine of our economy and data its fuel. So data is produced a lot, more and more, exponential growth, and the question is, how can you use all the data that is generated in MOOC platforms for improving the learning experience? No? So you have the feedback loop, you get the data back, and how can you improve, as in an automatic control system, your learning? In the same way as you do it for improving your health, or you do it in the business, analytics, intelligence, context, etc. So the question is, yeah, you can use this data to for the learner to know where they are in relation to other ones, but you can use it also for the educator to improve the learning experience, and for many other stakeholders, for the instructional designer, for the institution, for the accreditation authority, even in a country, for the employer, for the tool developer. So there are many stakeholders who can take advantage of this data generated and which correctly analyzed. And in different tools, LMSs and MOOC platforms, we are seeing more and more increasingly dashboards, Desire to Learn here, blackboards, etc. And of course, in Khan Academy, this is the one I like best, with many views on how things are going on. And if you see here red in between blues, okay, something wrong with the student. If you see a lot of reds, maybe something wrong with your exercise. So this gives you a lot of information about what is going on, even more than what you see in class, the face-to-face setting. You can use analytics for reporting, analyzing the past, for predicting the future, or finding the optimal educational path. So the competencies for the educator are: how can I take full advantage of this technology? What tools to use? What questions to pose? What data to capture? How to process this data? What visualizations are useful for me, for the learner, for other stakeholders? How to interpret the results? What conclusions to take? What interventions to plan, etc. Good. So this is the learner, the teacher. So he or she has to know many different things for which the classical teacher was not prepared. Now the question is, well, or before we continue, is there any other thing we forgot? Probably there are many more things. No? For instance, gamification, we didn't talk about, or how to make simulation animations, and probably many other things that will come up in the future. So the teacher has to be this inspector gadgets, who has many tools, many different resources that he or she can need at different moments. Now, if you want to change a university and move it towards a new digital era, the problem is that universities are like cemeteries. Why am I saying this? As an American president once said, changing a university is like moving a graveyard. You cannot expect help from the people inside. because there's a lot of inertia. Yeah? It will not work. So you will need many things. You will need incentives. You will need support. And we're talking here about the support. So if this is your faculty, how can you support your faculty to move to this new era? What tools do you need? What training, what education, documentation do you need? So let's go and try to identify how, well, I'll present some of the work we have done at my university, Carlos III University, in order to take this step, move the teachers to this new era. What we have done, this was, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, 6 years ago, maybe. We defined a new unit at the university. There were lots of things, but we have put them together. We call this the Unidad de Tecnología Educativa e Innovación Docente, so unit for education technology and teaching innovation. And we have a website where, to start with, there are a lot of resources and guides and documents to help the teachers. No? So what is the task this unit does? Well, prepare guides and other documentation, organize training events, also to produce software, and I'll talk some of it, manage recording spaces and all the facilities, organize events, and then have a relationship with the MOOC platforms. We are with edX and MyriadaX, and there's always at the platforms a person responsible for us, and they maintain the relationship. It's a very fluent relationship, talking about how things are going, what are the future plans, and also to manage each of the MOOC projects in order to define a timeline, follow up with them, so you're behind schedule, where what do you need, etc. Then we have also a portal, uc3m.digital. This is the URL where we have the collection of all the MOOCs made and all the different digital education activities. So let's now talk at least some of these new competencies. One of them is to become an actor, to be able to behave in front of the camera. So one of the things we do, we started doing this, I think, 4 years ago. These are the teachers. This is an actor, this actor here, the same one, and another actor here. And they helped him, act in front of the camera. You have to train your voice before you etc. To warm it up. You have to use your hands, use your eyes, use expression, use intonation, etc. Syllabicate well, etc. In order to to do as good as possible. Some are very from a natural point of view, they are born actors. Others need some help. So this is one of the things we do, how to present in front of the camera. Then we have training courses, video tutorials on how to use some of the tools, for instance, for Camtasia. This is sometimes we do face-to-face training, but also we use the new technologies. We use videos in order to explain particular things. So this is also done by the staff. Then one important thing, when we first started to do what we didn't start with MOOCs, we started with the Khan Academy and to produce videos and the exercises, etc. Some were produced in the general facilities, and some were produced by the teachers themselves because they preferred that. Then we very soon found out, okay, the teacher would say, okay, this is the video for 113. And then 2 weeks later, no, replace that by this other video, which I sent you by email because I changed something. But then, if you have a few videos, this is okay. You can send an email or you can send a URL with the content. But if you have to manage hundreds of videos, this doesn't scale well. You have to find tools to manage the production of videos and exercises. And this is why our support staff designed a tool which is called HEL. HEL is Gestor de e-learning. It's a tool which is independent of the final platform, so it can be used for the Khan Academy, for edX, for MyriadX, for Google Course Builder, which we used also some time ago. But it arranges the content, puts them together in order, and you have the current version and also the history. So you see the previous versions, you see the current version, like in the software tool. No? So you have version control, and you have the current situation. From here, you can also publish to YouTube, just with a button. You can include metadata, etc. So it's a management tool that serves as a communication between the staff and the teaching staff and the support staff. And there's also a list of all the different courses which are maintained independently on which platform we will find it run. So we found this as a very useful tool in order to manage the whole project. Also connected to it is another tool which is called Sigmo, which manages the subtitles. So this is also a tool for management, but especially for subtitles, where we have integrated the tool from Universidad Politécnica de Valencia, Carlos mentioned before, that helps in getting a first version of subtitling. Another tool that was developed by our staff was this Flip Up. This is not for the MOOCs, but for the SPOCs, so for the use on campus. When you use in your class audiovisual content and you want your students to come to class with a video scene, a problem arises if they don't see it. If they come to class, no, I have not seen the video. So you cannot, you should not show the videos again, because then those who have seen the videos have no motivation to seeing it. So you have to try to get as many students with a video scene. And this is the purpose of this app for iOS and for Android that gamifies. So it notifies and remembers that for next Thursday you have to see these videos. So these are the videos you have to see, and these are the exercises you have to do. And if you do it, you get points, and you have a leaderboard. It's not shown here. You have a leaderboard, and if you see it earlier, they get more points, etc. So it's just a tool to remember and to organize what I have to see for my first week. First week from this date, you have to. So this is the leaderboard. The first has shown so many points, the fifth shows so many points, etc. So this is just a simple tool that uses notifications of the iPhone or Android device that helps really that the students come to class with a video scene. This is integrated with OpenEdX. So it doesn't matter if you see the video here on your mobile phone, or you go to your laptop, to your computer, and see the video there, because it's the same back end. So it's taken into account in the same way. And also, organized with this, or related to this, are a number of learning analytic tools that people have defined, in which you can follow up if the videos are seen or not by one particular student, by all the students, or different visualizations, to know what is going on the digital side of your class. Okay, more things which are relevant. Intellectual property. So we have defined some guides, how to use images, how to use sounds or other resources. Then the support staff, which comes basically from the library, makes recommendations and helps also in getting clearance, or maybe contacting the authors for getting the authorization for using particular resources. So this is another important step. Then for the other things, assessment, community, analytics, and instructional design, we have had courses. What we are doing now is rearranging it in an ambitious training plan in order to provide this to our teachers. So I've put here together a number of things. In this case, this is not support tools or support staff, but it's training for professors. And, of course, we have to use the own tools we preach. So what we have done, the support staff and Carlos and me and others, is to produce a MOOC. This is in Spanish, a MOOC on how to produce a MOOC. You know? So a meta MOOC. It's in Spanish, but it has basically 3 parts. What is methodology and pedagogy part, so basically for the teachers. Then this is maybe more for the staff and other personnel, how to produce, both on the audiovisual side and on the platform in Open edX. And a third one, more from the management point of view, what is needed to produce a MOOC. This is basically teaching staff, all of them who have participated to talk about these pedagogies, MOOC, pedagogy methodologies. Then we have the part of production, which is 3 parts about the Open edX, the LMS, the CMS, what we have seen, and also, these 3 parts, and also some good practices for the production of video, so it's more audiovisual training, and this is some of our staff, which is using this is our studio and our different facilities for producing MOOCs. And then the third part is about the management and deployment, where we talk about all these things that you have to put together a good team, you have to plan well, you have to use tools to keep the timeline, to manage the contents. We have seen here now this Hell tool, and to do some marketing strategies. And this was done by people of the library and support staff in order to present this well. This is unfortunately in Spanish. It's hosted on edX, but you can find it on Bitly MetaMOOC if you want to have a look without maybe understanding. I don't know. So, what is important, maybe you cannot do the step all together, but it's important that you act as soon as possible, because whatever you do is an important step which brings you closer to this digital. This is the old competencies. Now you have digital competences. So this is brings you a bit closer to where you need to be in some way or some other way. Because, and I want to finalize now with a graphic from Gerd Leonhardt, a futurist, the German one, futurist. He says, increasingly, the future is not something that happens tomorrow. It is something that happened today, or maybe yesterday, but you just didn't pay attention. You didn't realize. You sometimes get surprises. Oh, this exists, I didn't know. Okay, yeah. So more and more things are going so fast that the future is not what happens tomorrow, it's what happened today, but you just didn't know. And with this, I want to finish. Thank you very much.